The 79 series is an absolute weapon, but does the Super Duty blow it away? In a world that's becoming ever more technical and complicated, one vehicle has stood out for bucking the trend, the Toyota LandCruiser 70 series. It's a simple, sturdy workhorse that's successfully resisted change since the 1980s. But now Ford has come up with its most significant challenger yet. It's the Ranger Super Duty, and it's meant to be the toughest and most capable Ranger yet seen. But has it got the chops to truly take on the mighty 70 series? Is it a really tough truck, or has Ford just tinkered around the edges of a city softie to make it look the goods? Well, we're going to drive them both on-road, off-road, with loads, without loads. We're going to check the spec, the pricing, the interiors, and then we're going to deliver our verdict. So hang around. This one's going to be worth watching. First off, just what are we comparing here? Well, this is the 79 series GXL dual cab chassis, and this is the Ford Ranger Super Duty dual cab chassis. Not an XLT or a Sport or a Wildtrak, just Super Duty, which makes sense because it's been a badge attached to US Ford F-Series pickups for decades and come to epitomise what tough trucking is all about. But if you want tough, you're going to have to pay for it. Straight out of the showroom, our 79 series will set you back $83,500 plus on-road costs. And that doesn't take into account the options fitted to our test vehicle, the alloy tray, the brake controller kit, the tow bar, and prestige paint. But the Super Duty is more expensive again at almost $90,000 before on-road costs. And that's before you take into account our $7,600 optional steel tray that includes a water tank, toolbox, and very handy hand cleaner. The Ranger fights back in the budget war very clearly when it comes to service costs. The intervals are longer and the services are cheaper. You also get free roadside assistance for up to 7 years if you service at a Ford dealer. Toyota makes you pay for roadside assist. The 70 series is easy to pick out on the road with its squared-off, simple design. The latest update gets these circular LED headlights, while the GXL upgrades from steel to 16-inch alloy wheels, gets over-fender flares, LED fog lamps, and this Larry chrome bumper. And here's one feature that will shock our younger viewers: manually adjusting wing mirrors. Yes, children, once upon a time, all cars did this. While it's clearly a Ranger, the Super Duty has a raised ride height and a wider track. The squared-off fenders are unique, and there's even a Super Duty logo stamped into the bonnet. The bumper is now steel as well. Further emphasising the toughness of its intended job lot, the Super Duty rolls on 8-stud 18-inch steel wheels. The sealed snorkel is standard to go with its 850mm wading depth. The 70 series has been through a variety of engines over the decades, and in fact the production of the V8 turbo diesel engine for this series has just finished. So what we now get is a 2.8 litre turbo diesel 4-cylinder, same as is fitted to the Hilux Ute. In this case, it comes with a 6-speed automatic, so you get an extra bump of 50 newton metres of torque compared to the 6-speed manual version. The rest of the driveline, part-time 4x4 with low range and front and rear locking diffs. The Ranger Super Duty comes with the familiar Lion V6 turbo diesel engine. However, in this case, it's been detuned by a sizable 30 kilowatts to comply with new emissions regulations. The rest of the drivetrain, 10-speed auto, permanent 4x4 system with low range and locking dual diffs. Now, fuel economy. Because these things are classified as light trucks and not passenger vehicles, they don't have an official fuel consumption claim. So we're taking our numbers, and later on in this review, we'll deliver you our findings. Yeah, no, there's still plenty of 1970s in the way the LandCruiser 79 series rides and handles. It's got loose, slow-geared steering that gives you some approximate guidance to where you want to go down the road. This particular example, I don't know what's going on with the wheel alignment here, but I don't know if you can see it, but the steering wheel at the straight ahead position is actually sort of at that angle, which is, well, interesting. Then you've got lots of body roll, quite pendulum-y sort of feel to it. Likes lots of roll in corners, and also it likes understeer. If you arrive at a corner a bit faster than what the chassis likes, then you're going to push those front wheels. And give you the tip, the chassis doesn't like arriving very quickly at all the corners. It's a bit understeer prone, but you know, there you go. The ride quality isn't especially brilliant, unladen either. You get plenty of jarring back through the rear suspension especially. Of course, it's designed to be used with a load, this vehicle, so we put 650 kilos in the back and it settled it right down. In fact, with the same load in both vehicles, 650 kilos, the 79 series rode more smoothly out of the rear end than the Super Duty did, which was really quite the surprise and shows how well this thing is set up for a load. The other thing the LandCruiser did that outshone the Super Duty was engine performance. From a standing start, and then as you accelerate, it just simply pulled away from the Ford. Weight's obviously got something to do with that. The Ford, as we're testing it, is around 3 tonnes, so it's going to be struggling to cope with all that weight with its detuned engine. But the LandCruiser, well, it's certainly lively and it's certainly loud when you accelerate. Lots of engine noise, but also lots of wind noise. This big bluff body batters through the air, and the wing mirrors pick up plenty of wind as well. You really do feel it. The brake feel is pretty wooden, but the automatic transmission is very proactive in providing engine braking assistance. Overall, yeah, it's like a trip through time from the 1970s to today in this vehicle, all in one go. Okay, jump into the Super Duty and you instantly notice, yeah, it's not as quick as the LandCruiser, but detune the engine by 30 kilowatts. With the steel tray in the back, it's nearly 3 tonne. So yeah, you're putting it up against it. You might want to stir the engine along by shifting manually, but then you've got to put up with the button shifters on the side of the gear selector, which are not very intuitive. In fact, the whole gear shifter pod, bun, whatever you want to call it, is not a very effective design and hasn't been since the current generation Ranger launched. Not enough resistance when you just push through the sleek gears. Like, you want to get into neutral because you're shifting to low range, easy to blow straight through into drive. Things like that are annoying. The other thing about the engine that's noticeable, or the powertrain, is that there is a bit of a whine when you drive along, especially you can hear it at lower speeds. And that, I think, is the front diff, which is a new addition for this model. Otherwise, speaking of noises, certainly much quieter than the 79 series. Engine's quieter, there's much less wind noise. This car has huge mirrors as well, but they certainly don't create the same amount of buffeting and noise as the 79's mirrors do. Car rides very comfortably across a wider plane. Now, pointed out that the 79 series, when both vehicles are laden, has a better ride than this car in the rear. It's not a significant advantage, but it was noticeable. Unladen, this is the better riding vehicle. It has a bit of jitteriness, which is basically unchanged when you put the 650 kilos in the back, which is sort of telling you that this car is set up to take a hell of a lot more load than that. The handling side of it, much, much better than the 79 series. Sits flatter, steers better, has higher grip level, generally is just a better behaved car on the road. Much less tiring car to drive. It's also got a better driving position, more comfortable supportive seat, a bigger seat. You're able to get yourself into a position with the steering wheel, which is a better driving position, more comfortable driving position. And of course, all the infotainment and controls you're dealing with tend to be more modern and intuitive and understandable than the 79 series with its, aftermarket infotainment head unit and slider aircon controls and whatnot. Yeah, while the 79 series is a bit of a trip through time, the Super Duty is very much of this age. It doesn't feel as manoeuvrable as a standard Ranger 4x4 pickup, something made more noticeable by its heavier steering. It's also got a huge turning circle and it's wide, so like the 79 series, it wouldn't be my first choice for urban duties. Overall, the on-road driving experience ends up being a bit closer than expected beforehand. The 79 series has an enthusiastic drivetrain and a well-sorted laden ride. But there's no doubt the overall comfort and features of the Super Duty make it a more appealing, quiet and relaxing vehicle to reside in for a drive. So let's off-road, and the good news here is these two with their ladder frames, significant ground clearance, wheel articulation, locking diffs and traction control can deal with any sensible challenges. Lock the rear diff in and they'll go anywhere a sane person would try without any fuss. If you want fuss, then rely on traction control. In the Ford, it's slow to react and allows too much wheel spin. In the Toyota, it's a similar experience, just a little bit better. But not as good as in the Hilux, which has excellent off-road traction control, probably the best in the business. The Ranger has a couple of extra tricks, including an off-road cruise control system, off-road camera views, and it also has a tank turn, which is meant to help turn tightly, but it just seems painful. The 79 series lacks some of the tricks, including off-road camera views, and its downhill assist control was a bit quick, braking required, but its fundamental off-road ability cannot be questioned. So let's wrap up all this by talking fuel consumption. And the 70 series delivers the double whammy. It's a stronger engine and also a more frugal one. It was better unladen, laden, off-road and cruising. In the end, the overall gap was around 3 litres per 100 kilometres. Wow, you want to talk about your back to basics interior. I'm having serious 1970s flashbacks in here. You won't find a simpler interior in a vehicle on sale in Australia today. But sadly, simple doesn't necessarily mean good. I can't get the seat low enough. I can't get the steering wheel high enough to get a truly comfortable driving position. And the seats themselves, well, they're as flat as the Nullarbor. The Cruiser even retains a key start, but watch out as you climb in so you don't impale a knee on it. And the side steps on the Cruiser are also set in so far they're hardly useful. In this bit, I'm supposed to be talking about fit and finish and interior details, but really, there are no interior details. I mean, this thing is the opposite of, say, a Tesla Model Y, which is complex and hard to understand and spends a heap of time figuring it out. This car is the very opposite. It is literally, here's your steering wheel, go. It is, in terms of quality of fit and finish and build and all those sort of things. Look, it's built in Japan. I've got this vision of these wizened old blokes sitting there, standing there, laboriously manhandling this car together. There's nothing 21st century about this. Forget about all the opening and shutting flexibility of modern cars. The 79 series delivers a small lidded bin, one solitary cup holder in the centre console and another one tucked around the corner, and a sizable glove box, not filled by the world's thinnest owner's manual. But that seems positively generous compared to the infotainment head unit we've got here in the dashboard. Very minimalist indeed. You can get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connected by cable, but really the most important thing here is we've still got AM radio, which is very important in the country. The analog instrument cluster in the 79 series is another blast from the past, but at least it's quite clearly showing what's going on. The digital trip computer with its speedo is placed in the right-hand lower corner, but it's legible enough. Forgetting about reversing cameras and parking sensors, like many cab chassis, they are not part of the 79 series equipment list. But at least it's got big windows and it's easy to see out of. Okay, so back in the time machine, Ranger Super Duty for a return to the 21st century. And yeah, it looks a lot like a normal Ranger in here, although got to say it's a bit of a jolt at this money not to even get a powered driver's seat. The Ranger does better than the Toyota for interior storage. There are 2 glove boxes, 2 cup holders in the centre console, a pretty substantial centre lidded bin, and generous door bins as well. Actually, if you're gauging the value of the Super Duty on the basis of interior appointments, then you're going to feel shortchanged. Basic black hard plastics abound. Although stuff like swapping out carpet for vinyl flooring makes sense considering it's going to be a very hard-worked vehicle. The money here's been spent on toughening up what's under the body. Makes sense. When it comes to infotainment and other equipment in the cabin, the Ford Ranger Super Duty clearly has the edge over the Toyota LandCruiser 79 series. Like for your start, you've got your 12-inch infotainment touchscreen here, which includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There's also embedded satellite navigation. Now, your smartphone can also be charged wirelessly down here. There's also a better audio system, proper dual zone climate control, and even the Ford smartphone app so you can remotely check in on the car. And check out the auxiliary switches in the roof. That's so added stuff like lighting can be hooked up. Still, I think I prefer the 79's analog instrument cluster to the low-rent digital setup in the Ranger. I've never liked this bar graph tacho. Clearly, the Ranger comes out on top when comparing the two infotainment systems. The Ranger actually has a proper one. The best that can be said about the 79 series is the screen is preferable to just having a hole sitting in the dash. The Ford also does better for rear and forward manoeuvring because it has a proper 360-degree camera and rear sensors, which is great for a cab chassis. It also has oversized wing mirrors. No doubt then the creature comforts and equipment of the Ranger make it the better choice to reside in. If the 79 had a better seat-to-wheel relationship, that would help even things out a bit. These two are poles apart on safety equipment as well. The Ranger has all the various facets covered comprehensively, while the 79 only has a few of the basics. Neither vehicle has an ANCAP rating though. It's just a constant battering in the 79 series cabin. Scramble up into the rear seat here and there's just so little knee room and you sit so upright. Yeah, this is a place for your worst enemy. There are a couple of mat pockets and a flip fold rear seat to help load more stuff, but door pockets, cup holders and aircon vents, forget about it. This is more like it. Look, the Ranger is not the best pickup when it comes to the rear seat space and so on, but it's certainly a lot better than the 79 series, much more comfortable, and there are amenities back here as well. There are adjustable aircon vents, multiple power sockets, including this 400-watt 3-pin plug, mat pockets, door bins, and cup holders in a fold-down armrest. The rear seat also flip folds, but like the 79, there are no rear USBs. Okay, let's talk about the trays. And the 79 series is an absolute payload carrying weapon. 1,300 kilos max. Even when you're towing at 3,500 kilos braked, you've still got almost a tonne of payload. That's impressive. But the Super Duty blows it away. With its heavy-duty chassis and wide-track suspension, it's been specifically designed to carry big, big loads. Try 1,800 kilos of payload minimum. Try 4,500 kilos gross vehicle mass, 8,000 kilos gross combined mass, and a 4,500 kilo braked towing capacity. Even when you are towing that huge number, you've still got over 800 kilos of payload. Damn, the grey nomads are gonna love this thing. But we'll have to insert one proviso here. All these payload numbers we've just quoted are before you add in the tray, which can vary enormously in weight and therefore impact your towing payload capability. So there's no doubt the Cruiser's 4-cylinder powertrain is one of its most competitive aspects. It's a real positive. It leaves the Super Duty and its V6 engine behind. But gee whiz, there's a lot of crudeness to the 79 considering the money you're paying, and not a lot of gear for that money either. Which means the Super Duty wins this comparison, but not by the margin you might have expected. Look, it's got a primitive cabin and a shortfall in equipment, but there's aspects of the driving behaviour of the 79 series which really make it endearing. It's easy to understand why it has such a rusted-on fan base. They're going to stay rusted on no matter what the verdict in this comparison. But there's only so far simplicity can take you. The Super Duty just has too many modern-day advantages. Importantly, it also has a tremendous work ethic and capability. And if you're going to knock off the 70 series, that's exactly what you need. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. And please tell us what you think of this video in the comments below.